I would just like to tell you a story that illustrates a few important concepts that we focus on when we work with families. So, one is really the importance of having a good family goal or vision to really understand where you're headed and how to stick with that. And then to also really focus on the relationship. I think this is something that just gets complicated when families come home and they get into the midst of the testing phase. Things get challenged, and some of their vision, those are initial goals that they have, go out the window. So I was working with a family specifically where their daughter had some very significant detachment, kind of reactive behaviors. Part of this reactivity is that whenever things got tough, especially when it came to accountability, she would just jet out the door, disappear for days on end. So when she came back, this was obviously a behavior that the parents were worried about. They were a bit of a disconnected family anyway, and they really wanted to repair that. They wanted to bring their relationship back into focus together. So one of the goals they identified is that they were going to spend more time as a family. And to do that, they got specific, because we like families to get specific, don't just put a vague goal out there. They identified that they were going to do a movie and popcorn night every week. This is what they were going to do. And they stuck with it. They started to do it, and it probably bears noting that this was actually the girl's idea. This is something that she suggested that she wanted to do with the family. And they were carrying along just fine, and then the testing phase hits, as hits with all families. The one thing that was a little bit different about this family, their testing phase was probably one of the more challenging, if not the most challenging, that I've worked with. Not because it was different than anybody else's, but because it kind of all hit on one day. So I'm not going to tell you the specifics, but just kind of take all your fears as a parent and imagine what you don't want to happen when your kids come home from treatment. And that's probably what happened, and all on one day. So these parents got pretty angry and frustrated and felt very betrayed. And they called me up. It happened to be on the night when they were supposed to do their popcorn movie night. They were trying to process through all of this. And the dad told me, Kelly, we're supposed to do this thing tonight. We're supposed to, make popcorn, sit down and watch a movie. Can we really do that? I mean, because right now I'm so angry at her. Like, I can't find that heart of peace, all those things that we talked about. And as the transition coach, I didn't tell him that he had to watch a movie with his daughter and that they needed to really do this as a family. I kind of empathized really with the anger that they were having, and, I had even my own concerns about, where are we going with this? But we wanted to be consistent. We wanted to persist. And as the family discussed it, they came back to me and basically said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this. We'll deal with the accountability tomorrow. And so they did. They sat down, they made popcorn, they put in the movie, and the girl, I think, kind of wary of the whole situation, was maybe watching her parents the whole night, maybe thinking they're like pod people, or where has this come from? I don't really get what's going on here. The next day, though, when it did come to accountability, they got through the night, they more or less maybe enjoyed their movie, and then they sat down and they had that discussion about, all right, what needs to happen now? And there's going to be some consequences, and we want to see what you're able to do to work with us to stay home and to help this work. And they started to talk about those consequences, and she got upset, as she did in the past, and she got up from the table, jetted out the front door, and made it as far as the end of the driveway. And I just have this, the parents looked out the window, and they told me that she was out there for about 2.5 hours, like right on that cusp, right on the edge of the driveway, just this push and pull. Do I stay or do I go? And I have this visual image of her just standing there with her arms crossed, body locked and tense, and really trying to make this decision. Do I do what I did in the past, or do I go back and try to work this out with my family? And she made that decision to go back and work it out with her family. And clearly it wasn't an easy decision for her either. And I try to wonder what was going through her mind, what was she weighing in all of these options. What I do know is that she did go back, that she worked through the accountability, that it wasn't an easy journey for any of them, but they did it. They persisted. She's a girl I still get updates about today. She's in college. She's doing well. There's still, concerns that the family deals with, but they're confident in those concerns. After the fact, I had the chance to have a discussion or to talk with this girl a little bit about what she might have been thinking, what got her to come back to the table. And what she told me, she didn't say it was because my parents watched a movie with me and that was so awesome. What she did say is, I knew I was their daughter and I wanted to be. To me, that was impactful. This is a girl who had felt very detached from her parents, who hadn't felt that way for a long time. And there had been, in this great event, this horrible day that this family experienced, there'd been no rejection of her as a person. There was no rejection of her as their daughter. They were able to show by following through with their vision, by being consistent, by focusing on the relationship, that she was still their daughter. And I think there are a million ways that we are able to demonstrate those relationship moments and build those relationships as families. This is just one of those instances where I feel like it was truly impactful in how things went. The movie itself was less consequential. What was consequential is that the parents were able to sit down with her and see her as someone they wanted to make repairs with, that they wanted to move forward with and really build that relationship, and they stuck to that goal and vision.